Let's geek out for a second. Frequency hopping, or frequency hopping spread spectrum, FHSS, is a state-of-the-art method for transmitting radio signals where carriers rapidly switch among many different frequency channels. It's a wireless technology. Hopping rapidly between different frequencies should reduce the interference of the signal. The military uses it to resist signal jamming and to implement secret transmissions with a security key. As civilians, we use it for Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. Cool, right? As usual, here on HerStance, I'm here to unveil a little-known but important aspect to this invention. Intrigued? What if I told you that the mother of this invention was once known as the most beautiful woman in the world? Welcome back to HerStance, where we empower women and allies by amplifying the stories of historical female trailblazers, inspiring action and collaboration for a more equitable future. Now, before we dig into today's story, I want to give a special shout out to my subscribers. The podcast remains free, and I'm happy to offer this content and the companion worksheets on my digital product store for a few weeks free as well. Those are at theleap.co/creator/HerStance. In the coming months, I will be moving those companion pieces to a paid subscription and offering the extra content to my subscribers. I hope you'll stick with me and support this important work. Also in the works is an inspirational journal for young women and tweens full of these inspiring stories to take them on their own journeys of self-discovery and social impact. If you have suggestions for stories of luminary women to include, drop me a line at contact@elevateherexistence.com. Now, let's get back to the program. Hedwig Eva Keisler, known as Hedy, was an Austrian-American actress most known for her movies produced by MGM Studios. Samson and Delilah, Boomtown, Lady of the Tropics, and many others. However, she was not just a pretty face. She was born in Vienna, Austria in 1914 into a well-to-do Jewish family and was doted upon by her father, a bank director and a curious man who inspired her to be curious about the world too. He would take her on long walks and talk to her about the inner workings of machines, streetcars, you name it. It is reported that at 5 years old, Hedy took apart her music box and reassembled it to understand how the machine operated. On the other hand, her mother was a concert pianist. She introduced her to the arts, placing her in ballet and piano lessons from a young age. Her mind was ignored, but her beauty was noticed. Max Reinhardt, a director of the times, discovered her, and he cast her in her first small film role in 1930, a German film called Money on the Street. She was 16. In 1932, at 18, she gained name recognition as an actress for her role in the controversial film Ecstasy. I'm drawing some parallels here to Brooke Shields in Blue Lagoon. Look it up. In the 1930s, Austrian munitions dealer Fritz Mandl became one of Lamarr's biggest fans. They married in 1933, but it didn't last long. She said of the marriage that she realized quickly that she could never be an actress and his wife. He was, she said, an absolute monarch in the marriage and treated her like a doll, a thing, an object of art to be guarded. She had no mind and no life of her own. She was also forced to play host to his scandalous business partners, many of whom were associated with the Nazis. Mandel was in a tough spot back then. Hitler was coming to power, and Mandel had a monopoly on ammunition supplies to Italy and great inroads in Poland, southern Holland, and Portugal. But he was Jewish. He tried to distance himself from that descent. But Lamarr wrote in her later memoir that both Benito Mussolini and Adolf Hitler had attended Mandel's parties. Well, Hedy escaped to London in 1937, out from under the grasp of Fritz Mandel. But remember, she was a keen observer, very curious. She had listened intently to those dinner table conversations over wartime weaponry, and those conversations would come in handy later. In London, she met Louis B. Mayer, famed filmmaker of MGM Studios. Audiences loved her grace and beauty and her accent. In Hollywood, she met all types of characters, including Howard Hughes. Remember the spruce goose? So let's take a slight detour. Henry J. Kaiser conceived of this large airplane, but he built ships. If you know anything about the Liberty shipyards here on the West Coast. But he didn't build aircraft, so he partnered with Howard Hughes to design it. This Hughes H-4 Hercules strategic airlift flying boat was intended for a transatlantic flight for use during World War II, but it wasn't completed in time for the war. It never moved beyond prototype. Have you seen this thing? It was a huge wooden monstrosity made of birch. In fact, they nicknamed it the Birch Bitch because aluminum was restricted during wartime. This is the largest aircraft yet built. It was supposed to carry 150,000 pounds, 750 fully equipped troops, or two 30-ton M4 Sherman tanks. Hughes and Lamarr dated for a bit, but she was most interested in his desire for innovation. She was so eager to work her brain again. Hughes actually gave Lamarr a small set of equipment to use in her trailer on set. She actually did have an inventing table set up in her house, but now she could work on things between takes. She actually did create an upgraded stoplight and a tablet that dissolved in water to make a soda similar to Coca-Cola. And here's where the ultimate contribution comes to life. In 1940, she meets George Antheil at a dinner party. He's a film score writer and experimental music composer. He had the same innovative spirit as Hedy. Now, Hedy had made all of this money, sat comfortably in Hollywood, while the war loomed in Europe. She wanted to do more with the knowledge that she had from her time married to Mandel. So the two came up with an extraordinary new communication system with the intention of guiding torpedoes to their targets in war. The system involved the use of frequency hopping amongst radio waves, with both transmitter and receiver hopping to new frequencies together. Doing so prevented the interception of the radio waves, thereby allowing the torpedo to find its intended target. After its creation, Lamarr and Antheil sought a patent and military support for the invention. While awarded the U.S. patent number 2292387 in August of 1942, the Navy decided against the immediate implementation of the new system. 20 years would pass before it was put to effective use by the United States Navy in torpedo guidance systems, and 40 years before it was permitted by the FCC to be used in commercial radios. The early rejection led Lamarr to instead support the war efforts with her celebrity by selling war bonds. Well, she was happy in her adopted country, and she became an American citizen in April 1953. But meanwhile, the patent expired on this invention, and she never saw a penny from it. And it would take years before the world would know of her contributions beyond the silver screen. In 1997, the Electronic Frontier Foundation jointly awarded Lamarr and Anthell with their Pioneer Award. Lamarr became the first woman to receive the Invention Convention's Bowlby Nass Spirit of Achievement Award. That's like the Oscars for inventions. And finally, she was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame posthumously in 2014 for the development of a frequency hopping technology. Such achievement has led Lamarr to be dubbed the mother of Wi-Fi and other wireless communications like GPS and Bluetooth. What's most interesting about that title is that over the course of her later life, she became a bit of a recluse, and the telephone was her only means of communication with the outside world. I guess you could say that she planted the trees under whose shade she would not sit. Look, like a lot of Hollywood stars, she married a total of 6 times, and she had 3 children. And you can find her star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. But every day, Hedy Lamarr's impact is felt in each and every one of our lives. What a beautiful mind. We see you, Hedy. It's time for our HerStance challenge. In our companion digital download, found at theleap.co/creator/HerStance, I am offering a series of journal prompts for you to think about in the areas of innovation and curiosity, being underestimated, courage and perseverance, and more. Here are 4 examples. Lamarr pursued her intellectual interests despite her demanding acting career. What is a subject or skill you'd like to learn or develop, purely for the joy of it, even if it seems impractical at first glance? What small step can you take this week to begin? Number 2, Hedy Lamarr was often primarily seen for her beauty, yet she desperately wanted to be recognized for her intellect and contributions. In what areas of your life do you feel you are underestimated or seen for only one aspect of who you are? How can you strategically showcase other facets of yourself? Lamarr was a successful actress, an inventor, and a mother. How do you navigate the various roles you play in your life, such as professional, personal, creative, familial? What are the challenges and rewards of these different roles? And finally, here's a 5th journal prompt you might want to use. Hedy Lamarr faced skepticism and lack of recognition for her invention for many years. Think about a time you persevered through a challenge or continued to believe in an idea despite setbacks. What kept you going? Happy journaling. HerStance was written, hosted, and produced by me, Sandra Cayley. References and music credits are provided in the show notes. Please hit subscribe and share a comment about how you enjoyed the episode. Episodes are produced twice a month to share women's historical contributions and their impacts connected to today's critical issues. Connect with me anytime by sending an email to contact@elevateherexistence.com. Until next time, thanks for listening to HerStance.